Hello. Oh, gotta fix my volume. Hey everyone, welcome to my live. I'm so happy to see you all here. Let me just check my chat box. I have my chat box open, so if you want to say hi to me, go ahead and pop in and say hi. And as we get started, I'll wait a couple minutes to see, guys popping in. Today we're going to be talking about the magical child and how the magical child is connected to our ability to manifest and create new experiences, new realities in our life. Hey, Melissa, so happy to see you. And oh, I'm getting hot. I was cold when I first came in my office, so I have my little heater on my feet, and now I'm actually getting kind of hot. Woo! Okay. We're gonna be just chatting. I just like this is a casual chat, and I wanted to do this today because I feel like, I just feel like there's just so much information out there, you guys. Out there being like online, out there, and we throw a lot of terms around like inner child healing, narcissism, manifesting, magical child, empath. Like there's so many terms that we use, and I think that it's important to just really define what it is we're talking about, because it's not to say that there's like one truth. There's not one truth, but we're all talking about concepts and we're using language. And sometimes that language might mean one thing to someone and another thing to someone else, depending on their background and the context that it's in. So I wanted to just discuss, at least from my perspective, what it means to talk about the magical child in the realm of inner child healing and reparenting. Hi, Karen. Thanks for being here. So I'm just going to discuss that, okay? And I'm just going to tell you here's what I believe, okay? This is what I believe, and it's just my belief. So you don't have to accept it. In fact, I challenge you to question it and actually have your own experience. But my belief is that when it comes to inner child healing, and we have these parts of self, in which there are parts of us stuck in the past, child parts that experience something traumatic, and we're living from that place. We're living from the past, right? That's the premise. And if you're here, you probably already know about these concepts. If you're on my channel, if you're interested in what I'm talking about, you already understand that you've got wounded inner child parts. You've got frozen inner child parts, and they're responding from the past. And because of that, you're stuck in some patterns in your life, and you're blocked around some things in your life that you would like to experience. It doesn't even have to be big goals, which big goals are fine, you guys. If you have a big goal, big meaning like something that is extraordinary for you, something that stretches you way outside your comfort zone. That could be a financial goal. It could be a business goal. It could be a life goal of some kind, But it doesn't matter whether it's a small goal or a big goal, as we put it, small or big. But what matters is that you're feeling blocked. Otherwise, why would you pay attention to this work? Because if you're not blocked and everything's flowing really well in your life, right, and you're not feeling challenged, then you wouldn't need to do any healing work, right? You wouldn't need it because you're comfortable, you're fine, everything's flowing. So we just have to admit, okay, yes, we're blocked around something. It's something that we want. Or even maybe you're just tired of being stuck in a way of being that you don't want. This is all connected to the patterns of being, our patterns of being, like who we think we are in the world, our identity. Have you heard that also? Is like the idea of, in manifesting, we talk about you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. So there's this concept of what it means to be the person that has what you want. They already have it. So this is identity work. Who am I? Right? And that whole phrase, I am, which there's so many meditations and spiritual practices around the concept of I am, just the statement I am, the statement of pure being in and of itself consciousness, reality. So, and I'm pre-framing all this for you guys because I want you to understand that this work we're doing is really powerful. This is powerful consciousness work. This is like changing who you are at a cellular level. It's transforming the way you are in the world. And therefore, by doing that, you're transforming those around you. And the ripple effect is that you're actually transforming your world, your entire world. So it's pretty big. It's big work. And we have a tendency to minimize ourselves a lot. So I wanted to put that out there. I just want to say this is big work. And so the magical child is not like a regular inner child part you're used to thinking of, like that you need to reparent, that you need to work with, that you need to find a wounded part of yourself that has a past trauma that needs to be reparented around something that happened in the past, or even just in general how life went. Because when we do that, that's very healing, right? We're bringing those parts of ourself that got wounded, that got stuck, that got frozen in the past because of past experiences. We're giving that child part what they didn't get, what they needed, what they would have, needed at the time. That's why it's called reparenting, or reparent ourselves. The magical child part never ever needed to be parented, doesn't need to be reparented, because the magical child represents pure, unconditioned consciousness itself that lives in the field of infinite potential, the quantum field of infinite potential, which is not woo-woo. It's not woo-woo. It's science, yet it is spiritual, because you can't really pull them apart right there. So the field of infinite potentiality, meaning that there's a field in which every possible potential exists all at the same time. I'm sure all of you have heard this is quantum science, right? If you haven't, look into it, because it's powerful stuff to learn about, because it can change the way you see yourself and your life. So if you imagine that, if you believe, which I do, that before you come into this human body, you exist in the field of pure potential, you exist as formless consciousness. You come into this body, into a child body. You're born, right? You grow inside your mother's body. You come out. You can become separated from your mother's body. So there's the separation from source. And you're a child. However, your brain waves for the first 6 years of your life, are not like adult brain waves. So you're just this open, you have no filter. You're just a sponge. You're just absorbing your experiences. You're absorbing everything in your environment. And you're becoming conditioned by your environment. But when you come into the world, you're just open. You're unconditioned. You're pure potential. So that means that you are connected to that field of pure potential. And you never doubted that you could be, do, and have anything, because you had no limitations given to you yet. You did not accept the programming. You didn't accept the programming. Hi, MBS8888. I don't know exactly who you are, but hi. So you accept the programming, right? Through your experiences, through even maybe direct, hey, Marlene. direct experiences, direct transmission of beliefs about the world and about who you are, or just also in addition to, we make up stories about ourselves through experiences. We do it. We just do it. In fact, I found that, I mean, I've worked with so many clients around childhood trauma and childhood memories, traumatic memories, or even just memories in which, needs weren't getting met, and not necessarily like huge, big trauma. But when something happens when we're a child and we can't understand it cognitively, we can't process it, what we do is we have to make up a story to make it make sense. And children, they think in very black and white terms. So we make up stories so that things can be explainable. Like, well, we see mommy's crying and she's sad. And we want to make her feel better because she's our source and we need her to be okay. We need that, right? As children. And so we want to make her feel better, and we can't, because we know that as adults, as a child, you can't do that. You can't fix your parents' emotional distress. But we want to. And so we try, and then it doesn't work. And so this is just an example. You just make up a story. Like, well, I guess there's something wrong with me if I can't make mommy happy. If mommy's sad and mommy's crying, and I can't fix it, there must be something wrong with me. There's right there, an identity is created. You feel that? Like, that's powerful. And I have seen this with, my own work and work with clients, how impactful a moment like that, especially when you retrieve it. A moment like that can set your entire life into motion in one timeline, like one direction, like this is who I'm going to be from this moment on. And everything that happens in your timeline then is based on that identity that was taken on. And it just gets continually reaffirmed. More evidence piles up over time until, one day we're sitting here as adults, depending on who you are and what age you finally stop and take a look at it. You're like, God, I'm 50 years old and I still think that something's wrong with me. That's my own personal, experience. But you stop and you question it. You have to question it. And so you look back and you're like, wow, I created an identity in that moment. If you're doing the deep work, you're going to find those things. I created that identity in that moment, that there's, I'm broken. There's something wrong with me. So I'm telling you this because I want you to understand but that's not what you come into the world with. You didn't come into the world thinking I'm broken, there's something wrong with me. That was an identity that was created. So that in that moment, the child becomes that identity, that pattern, that interference pattern in the field, in the quantum field. It creates a pattern and it starts moving through time. So I'm telling you this because the magical child part, which emerges naturally after a lot of healing work is done. I don't know the amount of time. People ask me how long it's going to take. I don't know. It's different for everybody. I can't know that. I can't know that for sure for you. But when it happens, the magical child emerges because he was never touched by the trauma. That part of you cannot be altered, cannot be changed by trauma and bad experiences and lies about who you are in the world. So when you do the reparenting work, when you do the work, the magical child emerges, is uncovered. It finally comes out again. And that child represents the elevated states of that consciousness, which is awe and wonder. Do you guys know what awe is? It's not an emotion. You experience awe and wonder in moments in your life in which you're not trying to analyze or explain something. Like you just look at a beautiful sunset, that feeling when you just, and you feel this awe. at how there is kind of unexplainable mysteries in the world, and you feel into the potential. You're feeling that, like, that infinite potential in the world without trying to explain it. How did it happen? Why did it happen? What do we call it? We categorize everything all the time, and that's fine. That's part of being in the world. But awe and wonder exist outside of that paradigm. And that's where all the possibilities are. But why do we have such trouble accessing those states? I mean, we all do, right? We have a lot of trouble. What states are we in habitually? Well, we're in the states habitually that, like I said, were formed from our identity, from the things that happened in childhood and forward. And so then, okay, so we're sitting here as adults and we've done some work and we're learning about all these manifesting techniques. And maybe if you're a coach or some kind of online entrepreneur or transformation professional and you're trying to build a business and you want to manifest something, whatever that is, whether it's clients or it's money or it's some real specific goal, like you want to hit a certain level of something in your business, you want to take a trip somewhere, really, kind of exotic. Just thinking of examples here. You can type them in the chat. Like if you have something that you want to manifest right now, type it in the chat because I'd love to hear what it is. And you're doing the techniques, right? And you're visualizing and you're saying affirmations, those are all valid things to do. You need to do those things. But what happens is you're doing it from the current identity of that person that doesn't have those things. Have you ever heard that phrase about like trying to solve the problem in the same mind that created the problem itself? Which it doesn't work, right? It doesn't work. So it's kind of the same thing. It's like trying to manifest from the identity currently that doesn't have the thing you want to manifest. I know, and it's wild. It's a kind of a paradox. But the magical child energy accesses all the potential in the field that you have of who you can be in the world, like who you can be, the version of you. That's right, the version of you that already has that which you desire, that which you currently seek. So it's not out there somewhere in the future. That version of you exists right now as a frequency. And how do you access the frequency? Well, okay, let's use a radio station metaphor. So you know that you guys all know radio waves exist, right? Marlene says, move to a place that feels like paradise to be, but not here. Okay. Right. So currently, where you are doesn't feel like paradise. Okay. So imagine, so I'm going to use this in my example, if you don't mind. So like, okay, there's a radio station that tunes into the place that feels like paradise. And there's other radio stations. There's a radio station that's like not paradise. It's something else. Okay. But if you know the radio station's frequency, the number, right? The number you dial, the dial goes to 97.1, 98.6, what? That's the frequency. And you turn the dial to that frequency. And you know, because you know radio waves exist, that you can do that if you have a radio that's operating, if you got it plugged in or the batteries are in it or whatever. And so it has power. First, it has to have power. And then you have to know how to use it. You have to know that you turn the dial and you move it to that station. So that's pretty simple, right? It's pretty simple. Well, manifesting isn't any different. Well, first of all, you have to know what you want, right? So you know you want to live in a place that feels like paradise. Okay, that's good. You know what you want. That's a frequency. Okay. So the trick is that you have to be able to actually get into the state of feeling that you're there, that you have it. before it shows up in your reality. Okay? Meaning, if you're currently feeling like I'm in a place that doesn't feel like paradise, you can't wait to get to that place before you feel like you're in paradise. So you have to generate feelings of being in paradise. What does that feel like? Well, what would that feel like? Well, if you don't know what it would feel like, then you won't get there. And that's the thing, is that we get into these patterns and ways of being, these feeling states that where we can't access anything else because we're entrenched in these patterns of feeling fear and anxiety and dread and disappointment, being disappointed, right? You guys ever just kind of be like, yeah, that didn't work before I tried it and I got disappointed. So I'm not gonna try because I'm gonna stay. You have to stay in this energy of disappointment because it's less painful than trying and getting disappointed. That's just a state. That's a state of consciousness. Disappointment is a state of consciousness. The magical child has access to the frequency of that version of you that has what you already want. The magical child has access to infinite potential, doesn't doubt, just knows that anything is possible. That part of you knows and can tune into that frequency of having it already. Does that make sense, you guys? It's actually not that hard. It's actually really simple, but we make it complicated. All right. So we're talking about being able to tune into the frequency. Can we access elevated emotions from the state of being in the wounded inner child? No, the wounded inner child is feeling negative, so-called negative emotions, is feeling fear, is feeling anxiety, is feeling stress, is in coping mechanisms of fawning and, the stress responses, freeze, flight, fight, fawn, is in those constant coping mechanisms and is feeling stressed and it's not safe to feel joy when you're in that state. That's survival, you guys. That's survival. You know this already. You know that if you're in a survival mode, you don't have time to stop and feel joy. If your body is responding like we're in constant danger, even though we're actually not anymore, but it feels like we are, you are not going to open your heart. You're not going to go into coherence, the state of coherence, which is a state in which your energy field expands and you're open, right? And you're open to elevated states and you can feel joy. You can feel wonder. You can feel awe. You can feel curiosity. You can feel creative, You can feel happy. You can feel enthusiasm. There's a lot of states there. But you won't be able to access that when you're in survival because that survival that utilizes energy. Survival has to stay focused on surviving. You guys know this already about the nervous system. So as we do the reparenting work, we work with the inner child parts that are wounded, that are in stress. We begin to, when they start to relax and they start to feel safe again and trust us, the adult self, then that energy of the magical child comes back in and we start to feel it. And then the adult self can access that and leverage it in your adult life. Like you can leverage it in your adult life for your adult goals. But not only that, but to actually bring that magical aspect into your life again. Instead of things being about, chores and work and tasks and earning, like having to earn your worth or work hard for things, right? There's these paradigms that we're overturning in which we've had to earn our worth and we'd have to prove our value, prove yourself all the time and struggle. So we've had to struggle to get things, to deserve things. That doesn't exist in the magical child world. Magical children just live in the world and they expect to receive what they need and want. They just know they deserve it because they exist. Get this, you guys. You deserve everything you want and desire in this entire world just because you're here and you exist. That's it, period. It's that simple. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to work for it. You can do work that's meaningful to you. You can do things, you can perform tasks and do work that feels meaningful and satisfying to you and helps others because that's what you want to do. But you don't have to do that to earn what you want to experience in life, okay? That's a lie. It's a lie. I know that one's hard to get over. It takes some time sometimes to really understand, what does that mean? What does that mean? Well, what it means is that whatever it is you want right now that you don't have, you don't have it because part of you doesn't think you deserve it. Part of you doesn't think it's safe to have it. And it's that simple. That's true for all of us. Whatever it is right now that you see the lack of, that you don't have, you're holding it away from yourself because you don't think you earned it. You don't think you deserve it. It's not safe to have it because fill in the blank, whatever reason. The inner child doesn't feel safe. There's so many reasons why it's not safe. So the magical child does not have these fears and knows the truth about how life works and how reality works. Let me look at my notes so I don't get too off track here. Okay, because I promised you we were going to talk about, I think I covered all these things. How reparenting restores your creativity, intuition, and quantum power. So how does it do it? Well, I'll just, in case I didn't already cover that fully, I'm just going to talk about that real quick. So when we are triggered by something in our present moment, and when I say triggered, I'm just going to give you a real specific example. Let's just say that you have you say you're a coach and you want to start a coaching business and you feel you really want to get some clients, but you're feeling really resistant to whatever actions you might want to be taking that would lead to clients. Something as simple as reaching out to people and offering their services, right? That's a pretty clear action that someone would take in order to get clients. And so then you are feeling stuck around it. You're feeling uncomfortable. Maybe you're feeling anxious. Maybe when you think about talking to someone or reaching out to someone or handing out your business card or whether it's online or whatever. And so what that is that's an example of the present moment triggering your inner child part that does not feel safe doing that. Because the adult part, the person that lives in the present moment is like, this isn't dangerous, right? It's okay. I have this service, I have this skill, I offer something really helpful. And if I tell someone about it and offer them to work with me, hey, you know what? I have this program and I think it would really help you. Would you like to consider working with me? That feels terrifying. Intellectually, you know that it's not dangerous. What is the worst thing that could happen? They could say no. But the inner child is responding to that present situation from the past. That's why it doesn't make sense intellectually. And we tend to get really kind of frustrated and maybe even a little bit angry at this part of ourselves. God, why am I so stuck? Why can't I just do this? What is wrong with me? There's the identity. There's something wrong with me. No, it's because the inner child had experiences, one or more or multiple in the past, in which it was so not safe to offer your help, or to be visible, or to shine, or to claim that you might know something that could help someone else, right? There's so many reasons, and I'm just throwing out examples of that I know of personally, or clients have examples of, like, why it's not safe. Why would it be safe to just reach out? Well, maybe if they did decide to work with me, and what if I couldn't help them and they didn't get results, and then they got mad at me? What if I'm such a mess? What if I'm wrong about that I can help people, because my life's not perfect, and I'm such a mess? Who am I to try to help other people? And then what if I start getting clients, and then their problems start overwhelming me, and I can't have boundaries, and then I feel responsible for them, and that's really stressful. Right? You hear all these, like, this is coming from the past. So the inner child has a really good reason why it's not safe to take this action, to move forward, to do this thing that you want. You want it really bad. But the inner child's like, no. The inner child is protecting you from all those bad things that can happen, because they happened. They already happened. And it feels in the body like they're still happening. So we take the present moment challenge. And it's a portal, you guys. It's a portal for healing. It's a portal for transformation, for opening up infinite possibilities in your life from this one thing that's just, like, totally pissing you off and frustrating you. It's like, why can't I just do this thing? Shift a little bit your perspective and say, actually, okay, this part of me is trying to protect me from something bad happening. Okay, here's some gratitude and some compassion. If you can bring up gratitude and compassion for this part of you first, that's all, just the first step. It's like, wow, you know what? Thank you for trying to protect me from bad things happening. Thank you. You must really care about me. And the acknowledgement of that. And then taking it a step further, which is reparenting, is like, look, I totally get why you would feel that way. Tell me more about what you're worried about happening here. Get information from your inner child. And, I go deep into my program about how to do this, but I'm just giving you, like, the basic concept of it. It's like, tell me more. Curiosity. What do you think is going to happen? What are you scared of? Get the information. How can I make you feel safe? And you're literally parenting your inner child. You're parenting yourself around this. And when you do the whole process and you start to trust, then all of a sudden you realize you trust yourself, and then you're like, wait a minute, okay, maybe this present moment is safe. You realize you bring that part of you into the present, out of the past, into the present. And when you do that, you're no longer living in the past. You can actually create, because you can only create from the present moment, you guys. You can only create from the present moment. If you're not in the present, you are simply recreating the past over and over and over every day. That's what we do. Our neurology is just firing in the same neural pathways over and over, and having the same experiences, feelings in our body every day, the same responses. That's why life gets so boring, because we're just living the same day over and over and over. But when you bring yourself out of that past into the present, then you can change it. You can have a different experience. You can say, look, now it's safe. Now it's different. You see, I'm the adult here. I'm in control. It's not like the past. And then you compare it. You say, back there in the past, so-and-so, whoever was there, was in control. They're not here now. It's different because I have all these adult resources. I have all these friends. I have all this help. So when you reparent, you are bringing yourself into the present moment. You're accessing, again, the ability to create something different, to change the future instead of reliving the past. And the magical child part comes in only in the present. You access that state of being in which you feel the possibilities, and you feel elevated states, and you access the frequency of that. And when you do that, then you tune your radio station. You can do, oh, I have the numbers. Finally, I can get that radio station. I really like that. You can fine tune it right in. And then you stepping into the version of you that lives in that frequency that already has what you desire. And that's how it works, you guys. That's how it works. And I'm not just saying this isn't just theory. I've lived this. I'm still living it. My clients and students I've worked with and the members in my Inner Child Revolution program are living this. Some of you that are here are already in my program, and some of you aren't. But hey, listen, I have some more resources for you. If you want to go deeper into this stuff, I have a free masterclass that I would love for you to take. I'm going to copy and paste the link here for you guys. This masterclass goes in deep into understanding these toxic patterns and cycles that our inner child stuck in and how it's stopping us and how you can overcome it. And it's a pretty deep, comprehensive masterclass. It's about 70 minutes. So it's over an hour. And it also, at the end, gives you a chance to enroll in my program, which I highly recommend if you enjoy the masterclass. Because once you do the masterclass, by the end, you'll know if it's right for you. But if you feel that it's right for you, I highly recommend that you join and that you start doing the work. Now, if you have any questions for me right now about anything that I've talked about, please feel free to type it in the chat, because I'm probably going to start wrapping up here in a minute. I would just like to say a couple more things while I'm waiting to see if anyone has any questions. Because I would just like to say that, you know, like I said, we throw words around a lot, and it means different things to different people. But I want to tell you that I believe that consciousness work, that the idea of owning your own power to create your reality, to create a life that you love, to have your desires fulfilled, is possible through this deep work. And I also believe that some people can access these states without doing the deep work. So I'm not saying you need this. You have to do this. This is the way. I'm not going to say that, because that's not true. There's so many modalities out there, you guys, right? There's so many tools and techniques and trainings and modalities and concepts, and they all work. Seriously, they all work, because it's not the tools that work. It's you. It's in, like, you are consciousness. You are consciousness itself, expressing through this human form, having these experiences, having this life, this timeline. And that's where the power is. So if you choose to use a technique or a program to transform and to heal, it's going to work for you. If you decide this works, this is going to work for me, this appeals to me, right? I mean, that's the beauty of all the choices in this world, is that different things appeal to different people. So if it appeals to you and you can, like, you feel into it, you're like, yeah, that feels good, that feels like something I want to explore, then you know that's probably right for you. And if you decide that it's going to work for you, it will, because that's where the power is in your mind, in your choice, in your decision, in your belief, in your knowing that something will work. That is how it works. It's the power of the mind. Hey, thanks. I'm glad that that was helpful. All right, my dears. I am going to wrap up now, and I want to thank you all for showing up live to listen to me talk and chat with me, and also everyone watching the recording later. I really appreciate you being here as well. And I do hope that you check out my free masterclass and join me there. Okay? Take care, everyone. I hope you have a great day wherever you are in the world, day, night, evening. Thanks so much for being here. See you next time. Mwah. Bye.